Good evening. Welcome back to the desk. Is there something I can help you with?
Yes, actually. I'm glad you're here. I wanted to raise something about my room, if that's all right.
Of course. That's exactly what we're here for. What seems to be the problem?
I'm not sure where to start, honestly. I checked in about an hour ago, room 414, and it's not quite what I expected.
I'm sorry to hear that. Can you tell me a little more about what's going on in there?
The air conditioning isn't working properly. It makes this noise, a kind of rattling every few minutes, and the temperature hasn't changed since I turned it on. It's quite warm in the room.
That's definitely something we need to sort out for you. A rattling unit and no cooling? That's not acceptable, especially overnight. How long has it been doing that?
Since I arrived, I waited a bit thinking maybe it just needed time, but it hasn't improved at all. I'd like to get this sorted if possible.
Absolutely. I completely understand. Let me pull up your booking and we'll look at what we can do.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
414, you said. Let me just... Yes, here we are. And you checked in this evening. Standard double, 2 nights.
That's right. I'm here for a work conference, so I really do need the room to be comfortable. I can't have another night like this.
I hear you. That's completely reasonable. Let me check what we have available.
I should also mention, and I don't want to make a big deal of it, but the window in the room doesn't close properly either. There's a gap at the bottom. Between that and the air conditioning, it was actually quite difficult to concentrate this evening.
I'm glad you told me. Please don't feel like you're making a fuss. These are real issues and you're right to bring them to us. A window that doesn't close and a broken unit together, that room shouldn't have been assigned in that condition.
I wasn't sure if I was just being too particular, but it really did affect me.
Not at all. You're not being particular. You're describing a room that isn't functioning properly, and that's our responsibility to fix. Have you touched the thermostat at all or adjusted anything on the unit itself?
I tried turning it off and on again, and I moved the thermostat setting, but nothing changed. I left it at the coolest setting, and it's still warm.
That confirms it's a maintenance issue, not a settings issue. I wouldn't put you through another night in that room.
I really appreciate you saying that. My main concern is just, I need a good night's sleep before tomorrow. The conference starts early.
I completely understand. Let me see what I have. We do have a room available on the 6th floor, 402. It's a similar category, but it's been recently serviced. The unit was checked last week, and it faces the quieter side of the building.
That sounds much better, honestly. Would there be any issue moving me tonight?
None at all. That's absolutely something we can arrange right now. I'll just need to reassign your keycard. It'll take 2 minutes.
That's very kind of you. I was a little nervous about coming down here, actually. I wasn't sure how to bring it up.
You brought it up very clearly. Honestly, you'd be surprised how many guests just stay in a room that isn't working rather than say something.
I almost did exactly that.
I'm glad you didn't. We genuinely can't fix what we don't know about.
That's a good point. I'll remember that.
Here is your new keycard for room 402 on the 6th floor. Take the lift at the end of the corridor. And I've made a note on your account about both issues tonight, the room and the breakfast, so there's a record.
Thank you. I really mean that. I almost didn't come down.
I'm very glad you did. Before you head up, there's something I want to mention. When I pulled up your original booking just now, I noticed something that concerns me a little.
Concerns you? Is there a problem with the booking itself?
Not exactly a problem with your booking, but I can see that room 414 was flagged internally last week. Our maintenance team noted the air conditioning unit needed inspection. It should not have been assigned tonight.
Huh. So they already knew?
The flag was on our system, yes. It looks like it wasn't actioned before check-in. That's a failure on our part, and I want to be transparent about that with you.
I appreciate you telling me. Honestly, that does change things a little. I assumed it was just bad luck.
It wasn't bad luck, and because of that, I'd like to do a little more than just move you to another room. I want to make sure this stay is one you'd actually want to repeat.
That's very I wasn't expecting that. What are you thinking?
I'd like to apply a discount to tonight's rate. Not the full stay, just tonight, given that the room was not fit for purpose when you arrived. 20%. It'll show on your final bill.
That's genuinely very kind. I didn't come down here expecting anything like that. I just wanted to get this sorted.
I know, and that's actually why I want to offer it. You were reasonable. You gave us the chance to fix it, rather than posting something online tonight and walking out.
I did think about that, I'll be honest.
Most people do, but you chose to come to the desk, and that gave us the chance to actually help you. That matters to us.
Can I ask you something? And you don't have to answer if it's not your place to say. Does this kind of thing happen often? Rooms being assigned when they haven't been checked?
Less often than it used to, but it still happens, especially when we're at high occupancy and the evening handover is rushed. It's not an excuse, it's just the honest answer.
I appreciate the honest answer.
What I'd say to you, and this applies anywhere, not just here, is that when something isn't right, it's always worth raising it at the time. The sooner we know, the sooner we can fix it. Leaving it until checkout means we can note it, but we can't actually improve your stay.
That's something I've always struggled with, to be honest. Speaking up in the moment. Especially in English. I always feel like I don't have the right words.
You had the right words tonight.
I kept it simple, I think. I just described what the problem was and said what I needed.
That's the whole thing right there. Describe the problem, say what you need. That's all it takes. You don't need formal language. You don't need to be demanding.
I was worried I'd sound rude, or that you'd think I was being difficult.
A calm, clear complaint is never rude. What's difficult, for both sides, is someone who won't say specifically what the problem is, or someone who makes it personal. You didn't do either.
I tried to stay, what's the right word, factual? I said what was happening without making it bigger than it was.
Exactly. That's exactly the right instinct. Stick to what you observed. Don't add emotion that isn't necessary. And give us a chance to respond before you decide we're not going to help.
I almost didn't give you that chance. I stood outside for about 3 minutes before I came in.
3 minutes is nothing. Some guests stand there for 30.
Honestly, it felt longer. Can I ask, if the situation tonight had been more complicated, if you hadn't been able to fix it at your level, what would have been the right thing for me to say?
A good question. In that case, the phrase you want is, I'd like to speak to whoever can help me with this. Not aggressive, not personal, just clear that you need someone with more authority.
I'd like to speak to whoever can help me with this. That's clean. That's really usable.
And it works almost everywhere. Hotels, shops, airlines, phone calls. It signals that you're serious without making it a confrontation.
What about when nothing gets fixed? When you leave and the problem is still there?
Then you follow up in writing. You say, I want to confirm what was discussed and what was agreed. That creates a record. It tells the other person, politely, that you're keeping track.
I want to confirm what was discussed and what was agreed. Yes. That feels confident without being aggressive.
It puts the responsibility back where it belongs, on the person who made the commitment, and it gives them the opportunity to follow through before you escalate.
Escalate. Is that the right word to use when you need to take it further?
It is. In formal situations, you might say, if this isn't resolved, I'll need to escalate this further. It's professional language, and most companies respond to it because it signals you know the process.
If this isn't resolved, I'll need to escalate this further. I've heard that phrase, but I never felt confident enough to use it myself.
You would be now. I can hear it in the way you just said it.
Maybe I would. There's one more thing I want to mention. And this is the last one, I promise.
Please, don't apologize for raising things.
When I checked in earlier, the receptionist gave me information about the hotel restaurant. She mentioned a promotion, a discount for guests who book a table on their first night, but she didn't mention it applied to tonight only.
Ah, and you found out after the restaurant closed.
About 20 minutes after. I'd been in the room dealing with the air conditioning, and by the time I thought about dinner, the offer had expired.
That is frustrating, and I understand why you're mentioning it.
I'm not asking for anything necessarily. I want to flag it, because I think the information wasn't given clearly.
You're right to flag it, and the way you just put that is exactly right. I'm not asking for anything, I just want to flag it. That's a very effective phrase in a situation like this.
It felt less demanding.
It is less demanding, but it's still clear. It still makes us aware of the issue. And honestly, in this case, let me see what I can do. I've spoken to the restaurant manager. The promotion was genuinely unclear in how it was being communicated at check-in, and that's something we need to fix. So I've arranged for the discount to be honored for you tomorrow evening instead. Just mention it when you arrive.
You didn't have to do that. I really wasn't expecting a solution.
You raced it fairly. You said clearly what happened without exaggerating. That's all we need to act.
I think tonight has genuinely changed how I feel about this kind of situation. I always assumed it would be harder.
It usually isn't when both sides are willing. What makes it hard is when a guest feels like they can't speak, or when a member of staff makes someone feel they shouldn't have raised it. Tonight, thankfully, was neither of those things.
I was very close to being the guest who can't speak.
But you weren't, and now you have a few phrases in your head that'll make the next time even easier.
Can we go through them once more? I want to make sure I actually remember them.
Of course. The first one, and you used this beautifully tonight, is, I'd like to raise something if that's all right. It's polite. It signals that a complaint is coming without making the other person defensive.
I'd like to raise something if that's all right. Yes, I remember thinking that one felt natural as soon as it came out.
Then, I'd like to get this sorted if possible. That phrase tells us you want a resolution, not just an audience. It moves the conversation forward.
I'd like to get this sorted if possible, and it doesn't sound aggressive at all.
Not at all. It sounds like someone who knows what they want and trusts the other person to help. And then there's the one I mentioned earlier. I'm not asking for anything, I just want to flag it. That's for the softer situations, the ones where you want to be heard, but you're not demanding action.
That one felt surprisingly powerful. I said it and I could feel how it landed differently.
It disarms the other person. They're not on the defensive because you're not attacking them, and then they often want to help more, not less.
Which is what happened.
Which is exactly what happened.
The written follow-up one, I want to confirm what was discussed and what was agreed. I think I'll actually use that at work too, not just for hotels.
It's one of the most transferable phrases in professional English. After any conversation where something important was decided, send that line. It protects you and it keeps things on track.
And if things aren't resolved?
If this isn't resolved, I'll need to escalate this further. Use it calmly. Use it as a statement, not a threat. The tone is everything.
The tone is everything. That's actually a really important thing to remember in general.
The words matter, but the tone is what determines whether someone wants to help you or simply has to.
I've spent years trying to find more complicated words, and the whole time it was about the tone.
Clarity and calm. That's the combination. Every time.
I came down here tonight thinking I needed to be tougher to get what I needed.
And
it turned out I just needed to be clear.
That's most of it. Toughness gets people's backs up. Clarity gets things done.
Can I ask, when you're on the other side of this, when someone comes to you with a complaint, what's the thing that makes you most want to help them?
Honestly, when they give me the chance, when they don't come in already decided that nothing will be fixed, when they describe the problem specifically, not the air conditioning is terrible, but the unit makes a rattling sound and the temperature hasn't changed. Specific is always more powerful than emotional.
Specific is more powerful than emotional. I'll write that down.
And when they stay patient while I look into it, you did that. You didn't fill every silence with another complaint. You let me work.
I was actually quite nervous in those silences.
You hit it well.
Years of practice at looking more confident than I feel.
That's a skill in itself.
One more question, and this one's more personal, so tell me if it's not appropriate. Do you ever have to complain about something in your own life, outside of work?
More often than I'd like. And yes, even knowing everything I know, it still feels a little uncomfortable sometimes.
Really?
Really, I think it's human. The discomfort doesn't go away entirely, but what changes is that you trust yourself to handle whatever comes back. You know the phrases, you know you can stay calm, and you know that most of the time the person on the other side genuinely wants to find a solution.
Most of the time.
Most of the time. The ones who don't, that's when you ask for someone who can help you or you put it in writing. You don't argue, you move it forward.
You move it forward. That's a good way to think about it.
A complaint isn't a confrontation, it's information. You're giving someone the information they need to fix something. That's all.
A complaint is information. I've never thought of it that way.
Most people haven't, but once you do, it stops feeling so heavy.
It stopped feeling heavy about 20 minutes into this conversation.
Room 402, 6th floor, quiet side, breakfast included both mornings, discount applied to tonight.
And a completely different relationship with the word complaint.
Go and get some sleep. You've got an early start.
I do. Thank you, Maya. Genuinely, this was more than I came down for.
It usually is. Good night.
Good night.